Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. We're just bringing people in from the waiting room. Give us just a couple of minutes, or not even, just a minute as we bring people in. Just checking some names. Okay, we have a couple more people have popped in. Yeah, I have removed him.
Okay.
Someone was putting some stuff in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I think we have everybody in now who's supposed to be. Well, we still have a lot of people joining, so just bear with us. We'll try to get people in.
If you want to get started, Simon, I can manage the waiting room.
Perfect. All right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to an evening of wellness, mainly with Daniela, who I will introduce. Oh, there she is. She's waving. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Simon. I'm the director at Camp Northland, and we're really glad to have you here. Obviously, this is an evening that's just really about helping you as parents and parents of campers and campers, be as prepared as possible for camp and offering some incredible insight to help you in that process through Daniela, who is our Director of Camper and Staff Wellness at camp. Now, we know that we have some parents here who are parents of campers, but not of Camp Northland. And we're grateful that you're here. We welcome you to be here because this information that's going to be shared tonight can help any parent and camper. And we're happy to be able to contribute in that way, not just to our Northland camp families, but also to other families as well. We see that right at the start, someone bot of some kind got into the Zoom and started throwing some links in the chat. They've been removed, but please ignore those links. Don't click on anything if you see them in your chat. I think they were posted by someone who was in there as Abdul Simon. So just ignore that. He's been removed and blocked from the chat, but please don't click the links. All right, so for those of you who don't know Daniela, Daniela is a social worker by trade, in addition to being our Director of Camper and Staff Wellness. But more than titles, she's an exceptional educator, professional, someone who is one of the leaders of our camp in all spaces, but in particular in looking at the well-being of both campers and staff, and oftentimes me as well throughout the summer. And I'll let Daniela introduce a little bit more about herself and her background and give us our agenda and overview for what the next little bit's going to look like together. I want to make sure everyone knows that we will be monitoring the chat. So if anything comes up in the conversation, or if you have any questions or anything you want us to follow back up with you or circle back on, just throw it in the chat and we'll do our best to moderate that and make sure we get as many questions answered as possible and come back to any topics that need to be revisited. So I will turn it over to Daniela to say hello and take us through our evening together.
Thank you, Simon. Hi, everybody. I appreciate the warm introduction, Simon. I am very happy and proud this is going on 8 years of it. I love being up there. I love having my kids up there. And it's just a wonderful place. To tell you a tiny bit more about me, I am a parent. I have 3 lovely high energy boys that range ages from almost 8 to almost 13. But in addition to that, I'm a social worker during the school year, a school social worker at a school called Montcrest for the past going on 5 years. And before that, I was at Jewish Family and Child in lots of different capacities, servicing the community and working with families and children. So I feel old from all the years that I've been doing this, but have lots of energy to continue doing it. So I'm very thankful that people are wanting to hear this information. And what we're going to be talking about tonight is both for campers and parents. So I'm very happy to see lots of kids' faces on those people who have their cameras on. We're going to be talking about some common worries and nervousness that campers and parents can have before starting camp. We're going to talk about some great strategies to manage those feelings and some things that you guys can do in preparation of camp to make sure that campers are feeling as prepared as possible. So like Simon said, I'm a very big proponent of questions. I'd much rather address your questions and just speak about, I'm very happy to abandon what I've put together if it's going to be helpful to people. But I am going to share my screen, and I do have some slides to make things just a little bit easier to follow. So here we go. So the focus is really on looking at self-awareness and how to manage emotions, because if we don't know what we're feeling, then we can't really be in control of it. So we're going to talk about very common feelings that lots of kids have coming to camp, kids of all ages, kids who have been at camp before, kids who are brand new to camp. We're going to talk about the fear of the unknown, which is really what anxiety is. So if any of you are more prone to anxious kind of thinking or worries or nervousness, I think you'll find this helpful, and definitely going to give you some strategies to walk away with. And for those kids on the call who are like, oh, another Zoom call, I have a couple of very, very short videos that I think everybody is going to like. So let's jump in. Feel free to hit up the chat. So I'm not sure who's actually on this call tonight, but this is our wellness team in its smallest form. We always have some kind of floaters and staff that are really helpful and knowledgeable who join us on our duties during the year. But in our top left corner, we have Maddie Johnson, who is our counseling staff liaison. She's a very established staff at Northland who's been a cabin counselor for many years with a very strong interest in wellness and is planning on going to school for social work. So she's going to be joining us. It's a new position last year, which was extremely positive and successful in connecting with campers in a bit of a different way. Then we have Laura Title, who is a social worker, who's also a camp alumni, who has a strong specialty in working with young children and families, and a focus on anxiety as well. We have Stacia and Splash. Stacia Wall is an educator for many, many years, a guidance counselor working with high school kids. And her role is to focus on supporting our staff at camp, in addition to our campers, but primarily our staff. Splash Wall is the world's best dog, and he is very much a part of the wellness team. He goes on walks, and kids play with him, and kids pet him, and he's very, very lovely. And then my picture, sadly, is a picture of me with my dog Mo that I wanted to honor, who unfortunately we had to put down this year, but he had been on the wellness team for many, many years, so I felt he deserved a special mention. So he won't be up at camp this year, but I will certainly be thinking of him. But there's a few other dogs up at camp this year as well. Adam has a lovely dog named Oscar. So that's the team that if you see any of us walking around camp, we are here to help you, as is all the staff, but we are the part of the wellness team. Okay, so what we're going to look at, and I hope I don't play this video too soon, is understanding a little bit more about our worries. So I don't know if any of our campers out there on the call are feeling super worried about going to camp, but sometimes worries can also represent other things. So when we're not sure what to expect, because we've never been somewhere or never done something, or it's been a long time, or there's changes like having somebody look after you rather than your parents. Those things can create a lot of worries because we're not sure what to expect. Totally normal, not a problem, and something we can manage. We also have worries because they help us. Worries can be really motivating, and they can protect us from fear, right? If we weren't scared of bears and we saw one, then we may not know how to react properly. So fear is something that's built into us to help us, but it can also motivate us. If you're going to write a test at school, you might be really motivated to study because you're worried about doing well. So those are some things to think about it. You probably have lots of worries in your life that are working really well for you at the moment. It's all about managing them. We're not looking at taking away worries, because worries are something that we all have and that we should all have, but we just want to make sure that we can manage it in a really good way. And being nervous or worried or thinking about something definitely helps us focus on what we need to do. I don't know about any of you out there who take a long time to get something done off your to-do list, but sometimes that feeling of worry of getting stuff done or meeting a deadline, like if we're supposed to clean our room before we do something, it can really help us focus on getting things done in a little bit more of a quick way. So it's important to always remember that worries can be really positive for us and have an important role in our life. The other thing about worries is that they can absolutely be felt. Even though it's something that's happening in our head, it's also happening in our heart. It's also happening in our tummy. It's happening in how we sleep. It's happening in all sorts of ways. So sometimes I know in my school job, I hear about kids who are having lots of headaches or tiredness or tummy aches in the mornings, maybe, or on Sunday nights. And when we ask a bit more and we dig a bit deeper, we find out that there's some worries about going to school the next day. So worries can really be felt. So sometimes we have to learn to listen to our bodies to help us. So that's something that we're going to talk about a little bit more. I think it's important that you know that everybody has worries. Mummies and daddies have worries, kids have worries, colleagues have worries, parents have worries. Worries is everywhere. Dogs have worries. We see dogs with lots of worries, right? Separation anxiety when you leave the house and the dog, I saw a video of a dog staring at a wall for 4 hours waiting for their friend to come back. But the really important thing to know about worries is that strategies can help manage it. And our goal is that you as a person are in control of your feelings instead of the feelings being in control of you. That's the goal. So we want to make sure that the person is in control, not the feelings. I don't know if anybody's watched the movie Inside Out. It's a few years old now, but we're going to watch a tiny little clip with a great actor, somebody I really like, who plays the fear role in Inside Out. So we're going to learn a little bit more about fear and worries. Simon, can you give me a thumbs up on sound when it...
I'm Bill Hader, and I play Pixar's Inside Out. I know what you're thinking. Who wants to be afraid all the time? But fear isn't just about screaming so hard you pass out from sheer terror. It's also about keeping you safe. First scenario is either quicksand, spontaneous combustion, or getting called on by the teacher. Without fear, you wouldn't avoid spooky caves. Bears. Don't get me started about bears. Otherwise, I'd be terrified right now. Plus, you all love being afraid sometimes. Like when you're watching a scary movie. Those are shoes of doom. But if there's one thing these different emotions have in common, it's that they're all taking care of you. We did it, gang! Relax. Disney Pixar's Inside Out. Get ready to meet the little voices inside your head. We did not die today. I'll call that an unqualified success. PG.
So that video clip has something for everybody because parents can appreciate the music, the sweet emotion, whoever sang that. As a part of all of our other emotions. And that's what we need to remember. So it's okay. So one of the things that we can focus on is the difference between life worries and camp worries. Some people have a lot of both. Some people have a little bit of one, lots of the other one. There's really no right or wrong. So, but when we have campers come to camp, we know that sometimes the worries are about being at camp, and sometimes the worries about what's happening back at home. So here's the thing that you guys should know. One of the things that I always tell parents is to remember that when kids are at camp, it's not the time for big changes at home, right? Camp is the time where kids need to remember the stability and know that what they're leaving at home is they're coming back to. So no big family changes, no big home changes, hopefully no big animal changes, right? Because we don't want FOMO. So kids on the call, maybe you want to explain it to your parents. I don't know if they know, fear of missing out, that we don't want, you know what, there is FOMO because maybe your parents are having a really great time, or maybe they're taking a week of vacation while you're at camp. And that's okay because you're also having a great time. So two things can be true at once. You can be fine at camp and you can be missing home. And that, I know that there are, a lot of people probably on this call are here to really hear about homesickness. And homesickness is something that I'm really okay with. I am sure everyone on this call loves their home, loves their bed, loves their food, loves their parents, maybe loves their sibling, likes their siblings. I don't know. Loves their sibling, yes. Likes, maybe not. I don't know. But the reality is that all these things can happen and you can be okay at camp. It's not a, but I'm not okay at camp. It's an, and I'm okay at camp. So we know that there's lots of things. I know my kids are very, very concerned about missing their device. There has been a whole lot of device time, and what are they going to do? And so listen, that's a fair concern. I'm concerned also. I don't have my devices the way that I usually use them, and I'm going to have to figure out some other ways. So understanding that worries are manageable is really important. Now, camp worries, that when you're at camp, those worries, I'm pretty sure in the first day at camp, after you've had your first sleep at camp and your first breakfast at camp, those worries are going to be gone, right? Except maybe homesickness, which we will talk about. So the fear of the unknown, like we talked about before, is that you're just not sure. And that's why we're doing a talk like this tonight, so we can clear up some of those things. You are going to be okay. You do have staff who are there and trained and professional to know how to help you. We're sending out, I'm going to do a little bit of a spoiler alert, that we're going to be sending out a camper get to know you form, so that right when campers step off the buses at camp, their staff already have a really great idea of who you are, what your likes are, what your dislikes are, what your worries are for camp. So they can be right on top of addressing those and making everybody feel safe and comfortable at camp. If you're feeling nervous or worried, you talk to your staff, or you talk to anybody at camp who's an adult or more grown up than you, and you let them know what's going on so that we can help you, because we have lots of people around to help. So one thing I'd really like to suggest to everybody on the call, parents and campers alike, to take some time to really explore what worries are before camp. It's not going to create extra worries. It's just going to help the communication so kids can understand what's going on and we can address those worries beforehand. So even trying and writing them down, and for parents, it might be a really great one to keep for many years, because if it's a camper's first time at camp, we always know that by the end of the season, there's different feelings towards camp that are generally very positive and happy. So think about talking about it in advance. What are some worries you have? And you can divide it by life worries and camp worries. The other goal in having this talk this evening is that we can share language, so that our campers are having some continuity in how to handle these things from what they're hearing at home from you guys and what we're saying at camp. So if there's any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat at any time, and Simon and Adam will know when to maybe interrupt me or keep me on something as we're going.
Maybe I can just jump in for a second, because we've mentioned Adam a couple of times, and I should have introduced Adam right at the beginning.
Oh,
can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Yeah, I got choppy for a second.
Perfect. So just a quick official hello to Adam, who's helping us out, not just for tonight, but for all things camp. Adam is our associate director and really sits side by side with me in all planning year round for the camp. So just officially, introducing Adam as well, as you hear us mention his name.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Go ahead, Daniela.
I've spoken with Adam too.
For sure.
So if we're moving on to strategies, one of the things I really like to focus on is what's within our control. Because so often the clients and the students and the parents and the campers that I meet with, there's a lot of frustration about things that are outside of their control. And they come and see me and they tell me, well, if only my friend would change, if only my parent would understand, if my teacher would only just do this, right? And so I can pick out lots of areas of frustration and disappointment and upset and anger, because there's expectations to have control and the ability to change things that aren't in our control. So I like to call these my control circles, although one, it's a circle in a square, but normally I like to have two circles. So we have what we can control in the green circle, and that's really everything to do with us, how we respond, the words we use, our ideas, our thoughts, our feelings, our actions. Those are the things that we can control. Those of you who maybe are working with more worries, you may have heard about these things. This is all coming from cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a really wonderful approach for working with anxiety or nervousness and working with kids. So if we're looking at our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions, if we can always bring ourselves back to remember what's within our control, then we can manage our expectations. Right? If parents are going out for a night out and kids are thinking, great, they're going to bring me home this awesome dessert from the restaurant they went to, and then parents come home without a dessert, there's a whole lot of disappointment and frustration. But if you shared what you were hoping for and what your expectations were in advance, then maybe you would luck out in a different way. So this is a really important one to remember. And life tip here for any campers on the call, this will help you in all your relationships, friendships at school. If your teacher's kind of tricky sometimes, sitting back and thinking, okay, what can I control in this situation? I can control if I keep my bunk clean at camp, and then I'm not having a problem when the counselors are expecting that, and maybe I can help somebody else. What can I control? I can control filling up my water bottle and wearing my hat and sunscreen so I don't get a bad headache and have to go to the health center. Those are things that are in your control, right? And those are things that are really important to remember, because it will help you feel like you've got this, which you do. You will all be, I'm sure, I have full confidence that people will be very successful at camp. This next strategy is based in cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's the connection between our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. So really, if you think about it, if anybody on the call wants to make a triangle with their fingers, I see some of you doing it. If you take away one side of the triangle, the other parts kind of fall apart, right? Each side of a triangle depends on each other. And that's where the connection is between our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. So if you think about it, when you're thinking about something, it creates how you feel about it. When you feel something, it creates what your behavior is, and your behavior then reinforces what you're thinking. So if you are, what's one of my great examples? Let's see if a camp example. Let's say you don't want to get out of you don't want to go to volleyball. Your cabin is assigned volleyball, and you're like, oh, I don't want to go to volleyball. It's hot. I don't like it. The sand, I'm just not in the mood for the sand. I wish we could just have more free time and I could sit in the shade and do nothing. Sometimes that's what campers say. Then the feeling that gets created is frustration about having to go, annoyance, upset, right? Lots of feeling words. And then what's the behavior? Maybe sometimes we see this where kids do cross their arms and sit down and say, I'm not going anywhere. Sometimes kids might talk back to a counselor in a way that's not great. And then those behaviors kind of reinforces how much volleyball sucks, because if we didn't have to go to volleyball, then I wouldn't have any of this and everything would be fine. But if you can manage to change one of those things, then you can change all the others. So if you want to choose to change your behavior, and which at camp sometimes is the easiest, and you just go to volleyball, 9 times out of 10, you get involved with volleyball and you have fun. Why? Because camp is fun. So, or if you change your thinking and say, you know what, I may not like it, but I'm going to go try, then the feelings change to being a little bit more hopeful and excited, maybe talking to your friends in a fun way. And then the behavior changes and you walk down the path and you sing a song and you skip on your way down to volleyball. So the reality is that it's really important to know all of these things, because all of those things are in everybody's control. And that's not a problem. You can control these things. They don't have to control you. Now, is this really easy to do? It's not. But what we're lucky is that our staff are there to help our campers. So understanding what they're feeling, looking at self-awareness, right? How, some things that can be done at home before camp starts is doing a lot of talking about feeling. printing off a feeling page from the internet, sometimes either with words or pictures, depending on the ages and stages in your homes, to really, for the whole family, to use a lot of feeling words so that you can really do that connection between what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and how you're acting. So sometimes parents can guess and be like, I'm guessing that you might be thinking that you don't want to eat this for dinner. And then the feeling like you're just frustrated because you just really want my specialty that I only make on the weekends and I can't make it tonight because it's too busy, right? It's about talking about all of these feelings, our thinking, and then the behaviors so that they can all become one and there can be more of a mind-body connection. Because our brains are really complex and kind of tricky sometimes, which can be tough. If there's any questions about this, feel free to ask. I hope it all makes sense to everybody. So some of the things you might be feeling right now is uncertainty about what to expect. Those of you who haven't been to camp before, you don't know what to expect, which is totally fair. A lot of what if thinking. What if thinking is nervous thinking and anxious thinking. And that what if thinking makes us think, I call it snowball thinking, because it might start off of a really small one, like, what if I don't like a meal? To what if I don't like all the meals? What if I'm never eat again? And what if I'm starving all the time at camp? What am I going to do? It's a lot of what if snowball thinking that gets really big, really fast. But if you can gain perspective, which is really important, about that, oh, wait a minute, people are here to help me. I don't have to figure this out on my own. Mommy and daddy would never send me somewhere that's dangerous or not going to look out for me. So, okay, I know I'm okay. I better tell somebody that I'm not happy with this meal and figure out something else to eat, right? And nervous about leaving your family. That's fair. We love our families. I have to leave my family behind and it's really tough for me. But we know that we love each other and we know that these new experiences are really important for everybody. So that's one thing. But there's also excitement. The weird thing about nervousness is that it's really closely related to excitement. But they can feel very similar, but also feel very different. So we know that you're excited about camp and trying new things and all the wonderful, cool activities we have and the water trampoline and meeting Splash and Oscar and arts and crafts and Havdalah and like all the really cool things, water skiing, right? Making new friends. But that doesn't mean that you're not having nervousness. So I have another little clip, which all adults on the call, I think, would be very interested in watching this as well. It's a great clip by someone named Simon Sinek, who is, he's, really well known out there. I don't know exactly what, I should look into it. I always say he's like an organizational psychologist, but I'm not exactly sure if that's true. I call him a modern day philosopher. And he has a story about nervousness and excitement. So if you can think back to this, he is talking about this triangle completely, the connection between what we're thinking, what we're feeling, and how we're behaving. So I'm going to give you guys a little task, if possible. Those of you who are watching the video and can point out some of these thinking, feelings, and behaviors and talk about it amongst yourself, or if you want to throw in the chat, that's totally fine. But let's see if we can make that connection. I think I see it really clearly, but I've also watched this video a million. One moment, please.
Friends would walk up to me and just be like, "What the f is in your mug?" And I would just tell them.
Apologies. Okay, there we go.
I was also watching the Olympics, and this is what I realized this when I was watching the London Olympics, so a couple Olympics ago, and I was annoyed by how all the journalists asked all the athletes the same stupid question. Literally, everyone. Were you nervous? Or are you nervous? Whether it was before or after the event. Every single time. And every single time, all the athletes gave the exact same answer. No, I was excited. No, I'm excited. Every single time. These elite athletes had learned to interpret body styles of the future, you clamp, your hands get clammy. What are the stimulus for excitement? Your heart races, you visualize the future, your hands get clammy. They had learned to interpret what their body was telling them, not as nerves, but as excitement. And the reason the journalists said, "Were you nervous?" is because they would be nervous. Athletes would never say that to each other. They say, "That was exciting." So I tried it. I did a little test on myself, right? I'm on a plane. We start hitting some really bad turbulence. I go, and then I say to myself, literally out loud, "This is exciting." And I was fine. And I was fine. So I do it a lot now. When I find myself getting nervous, I say to myself, "This is so exciting," and I'll explain the reason to myself why. So, like an actor, you don't get nervous when you go on stage anymore, but occasionally you do. So I get to go on stage a lot, and I don't really get nervous much anymore, but I was going to present to 3,000 chiefs of police right in the middle of all this police brutality hullabaloo. And I got really nervous because the stakes are really high, you know? And I was literally getting nervous backstage. And I said to myself, this is so exciting. I have an opportunity to talk to a group of people who can actually affect change in this country. This is really exciting. The interpretation was excitement. Just change the narrative. It works brilliantly well.
So that's a particularly good video because the hashtag at the end is Simon Says, and we're a big fan of Simon Says at Camp Northland. Simon Says, put your hand on your head. So I love that video. I love it because it's very simple to understand and makes so much sense. Our body sends us messages that are the same for nervousness and excitement. How tricky is that to manage, right? So if we can really learn to listen to our body, but also understand that we have the control. I don't know if anybody noticed connection between the feeling and the behaviors or the actions. Excited. I told myself this isn't nervousness, right? You can tell yourself those things. And when in doubt, just do a hashtag Simon Says and we'll figure it out, right? Simon will just tell you to do that and it'll be fine. So here is some language. This is a part that I'd really love parents to pay attention to, of the similarity in the languages that we can use at camp, and we can connect, bridge from at home and at camp. So we have, is this something that needs to be a big problem or a small problem? That's again where perspective fits in, right? So having, if you have a problem in your life, that's fair. Lots of challenges and problems come up, but sometimes our reactions don't match the level of the problem that we have. And we see that a lot at camp in trying to help people. Somebody could be having a giant meltdown over the outfit they're wearing to a social. To me, that's a small problem. We can fix that. It can feel like a big problem, but it can be a small problem. So being able to ask yourself and being able, parents, to model for kids, I had this challenge at work, but I had to ask myself, was this a big problem or a small problem? Because it really felt big and I was acting like it was big. But after some time or speaking to a friend or taking a moment to think about it, I realized it's a small problem. Really providing that narrative. Here's the next one. Is this something that's my challenge or worry or problem, or is this somebody else's? So camp is a really close-knit place, which is so wonderful. But it also means that people can get really involved in other people's worries and thinking and problems and drama sometimes, which we work really hard to keep low. So asking yourself, is this really something I need to be involved in? Or is this something that maybe I don't need to be involved in? Or I need to just let a counselor know and then I can let it go. So asking yourself these things, and again, these are life tips. These will help you in your friendships at school, in your relationship with your parents, and how to think of things. And our feelings want to take over our body, take action to make a change. So if there's a, one of the challenges we have at camp is a lot of lost and found. People leave things around camp because they forget, because they're in a hurry, because they're forgetful, whatever it might be. But understanding that I could make a change to how beautiful our beachfront is at Northland enclosure by helping make sure that me and my cabin takes our stuff back. That's how you can make a change. That's how you can make the improvement. So taking a look around, because camp is absolutely a community and a family. So we always help out our family, right? The other thing is, I love this saying, nothing changes until something changes, right? So if you're in a tough situation anywhere, at school or at home or camp, and you're not noticing anything changing, sometimes we have to take a look back and understand what could change, or what do I have control over to change. So if it's the same situation, you know, if you're not having good sleeps in your bunk, maybe we need to look at making it a bit darker there for you, or lying another way in your bed, or seeing if anybody wants to switch, which are all possibilities, right? There's always, this is what I tell my kids, there's always a solution. We just have to find it. And that's when we work together and we tell the right people what we're feeling and what's going on, then we can do that. The other thing is, in the bottom corner of in the remember this, is that understanding that just like nervousness and excitement are like two sides of a coin, so are worries and courage, right? So worries are the fear of the unknown, but courage is moving forward even when you're feeling nervous or worried or scared or fearful. It doesn't mean being nervous or worried about something doesn't mean you can't do it. Two things can be true at the same time, right? Something can be hard, but it also doesn't mean you can't do it. The first time people get up on water skis, it's super hard and it's super scary. But once they do it, it's amazing and they can do it. So these are just really good reminders, things to print out and put on the fridge, things to put in, messages in lunch boxes or in agendas, reminders throughout the day of how to manage. And here are some strategies. I think we're nearing the end. These are some strategies that you can use. Choose which ones work for yourself. But what we do know is that when people have a lot of feelings, it's really hard to think clearly sometimes. So managing the feelings helps the thinking. So all of these things are things that can happen so that you don't have to think about it in the moment. But that's also what counselors are at camp for you. So, if you have strategies you use at home when you're having a hard time or you have a lot on your mind, those are strategies that we can help you with at camp. So we have lots of kids who bring stuffed animals to camp. I think somebody had put a question about that. Absolutely bring it. If you have a stuffed animal and you like it, no matter what age you are, bring it to camp. It can be in your bed. Nobody has to know about it. But if it's going to bring you comfort, you shouldn't go without it. It's not necessary. People of all ages bring stuffies and dollies and blankies and whatever it is that they like. So there's no problem with that. Your friends are there to help you. Yes, absolutely.
Comment on that. One year, there were so many people who brought stuffies of different age groups that there was actually a camp-wide activity where basically all the people who didn't have stuffies had the chance to even make stuffies in arts and crafts, and the counselors were carrying around stuffies. So if that's something that makes you comfortable, you shouldn't be at all uncomfortable about that in terms of how it will be received at camp. There are lots of people, staff and campers, who feel more comfortable. And camp is a place where you can be yourself and feel safe and comfortable to be yourself. So that's something that you should absolutely feel comfortable to bring to camp.
Mm-hmm. That's a great example. I often, when I'm walking to breakfast in the morning, I will see staff and campers who maybe are going for a run, who are meditating by the water, who are, having a little, a morning group huddle with their cabin, doing all the things that they need to do. That brings them comfort. So I just want to focus on the two images on the slide because I think they're very valuable. One is nobody at Camp Northland is a mind reader. If you don't tell us what's going on, we can't help. So I really, and we have lots of different ways that you can tell us things. You can leave a note. You can tell a counselor. We're going to have suggestion boxes. You have your unit and section heads. You have your wellness team. You have Adam. You have Simon. You have Splash. You have everyone on the wellness team. Oscar is not really good at helping with those things, so I would leave Oscar out of it. But Splash is really good. He will give you advice back. So. Sorry, Oscar. So those are really important things to remember, that if you tell us, we will help you. There's no to make sure that everybody feels comfortable. We have lots of fun things that are new this year that are going to help with that kind of communication. But remember that it's okay to go to somebody to tell us that something is hard, and we will do our best to help you. And then the other thing is, I think so many people spend time focusing on what can go wrong, when really we should focus on what can go right. We're really focused on the what ifs and the worries, but if we focus on how fantastic everything is, which it will be, in the end, and there's always ups and downs, then I think we'll enjoy the process a lot more. One thing that I like to tell people about is realizing that the struggles that happen at home, at school, in your families, those don't magically disappear. Although camp is such a wonderful, magical place, people's struggles translate to camp sometimes. We can manage them and we can talk about them and we can support them, but there are ups and downs. So I think the parents on the call, it's really important to remember that, it's still reality when we go to this magical place. There's still parts of reality. So important things to know as you arrive to camp. So our campers on the call, this is what you need to know. So short goodbyes at the bus are best. A drop off and kids get on the bus and parents move away so you can wave, but that you're not right there. A long goodbye just makes it harder. Once you get to camp, you're going to join your counselors. You're going to get to know them and your cabin mates. You're going to make name tags so everybody knows who you are. You're going to make a poster for your cabin, or that might already be made, welcoming you. You'll have anybody who wishes will have the opportunity to add pronouns to their name tags if they'd like. We're going to make sure everyone has their bags and gets their beds and starts unpacking. There's a lice checks for hair and swim tests, things that everybody goes through so that as soon as everybody's gone through that, all the fun stuff at camp can begin, because you need your swim test in order to have the most fun at camp, right? So here are some pictures of kids having fun and being at camp. And this is something that I mentioned before. Remember that two things can be true at the same time. You can be having negative feelings or having a hard time about being away at home or getting along with someone in your cabin or not liking a meal. That might happen, but that doesn't mean you're not okay at camp. Or you're going to be able to help yourself. That you are going to get so many amazing skills at camp, and you're going to come home and your parents are going to be like, who is this child? Who is this responsible, mature kid? I don't understand why they're all of a sudden clearing their plate off the table without being asked, or they're making their own bed, or they're putting away their laundry, or sweeping. Lots of sweeping happens at camp. So there's lots of great skills that can be learned that will help you when you come home. And that the staff at camp are here to help you anytime, day or night. If somebody has a problem at night, or they're nervous about going to the bathroom, or they're worried, or they need help falling asleep, that's what our counselors are there for. They're substitute parents in that time, but maybe a little bit more fun and energetic. I don't know. I'm speaking for myself, parents. I'm not fun nor energetic. So I believe, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to click on these and put them in the chat. There are a few resources that people might like if you liked what we talked about. And the video from CBC Kids is really great. It's called Small Talk. It's actually a really great series about lots of different experiences for kids. And this one is on worries. So I'm going to stop sharing. That's what I have put together. I think our time is great. That if there are any questions or follow-up, please, please just let us know. Pop into the chat. I don't know if anything came up while I was speaking, but I'd love to throw it over to you, Simon or Adam, to just while I put those resources in the chat, if that's okay.
I have done that actually.
You already did?
I put the page from our website. I didn't put the resources from your slide. Okay,
I'll do that now.
Because I didn't have access to it, but
right. I'll do it right now. I'll just throw it in.
Yeah, but I did put those resources.
While you guys are figuring out the links, which is amazing, I guess in the time we have, we wanted to have a productive hour together, which leaves us with about 12 minutes. Now that we've had that context and a little bit of tips and tricks from Daniela, we want to open the floor to any questions or comments, whether it's about, wellness in particular or something that's on a camper or a parent's mind that you wanted to talk about in helping prepare or feeling most ready for camp. There's no bad question. Anything that's on anyone's mind will probably help other people as well. So if anyone has questions, now is a great time to either unmute and you can ask your question, or you can put it into the chat, and we're happy to answer it. If you're following the chat, you'll see that we've now added the links towards the bottom of the chat. Those links, which came from Daniela to everyone at 8:18, are safe to click. If you'd like to get access or copy and paste those into your own, email or record so you have them. All right, looking for questions or listening for questions?
While people are putting questions in, I would like to toot our own horn for a tiny bit to let everybody know that we actually received a grant from an organization called Yadid Nefesh for our work in wellness. It's called MESH, Mental, Emotional, Social, Spiritual Health. And they were looking for camps who were leaders and camps who were looking to get into the wellness game at their camps. And I'm very proud of Camp Northland to report that we were viewed as a leader in that for all the wonderful programming we have for wellness that we are expanding on. And being a recipient of this grant has allowed us to add to our staffing and our programming and to our resources, which is really great. And it's on that link about wellness resources that Adam had posted previously.
Okay, I see that there's
another question. COVID protocols.
Yeah, I think there's a question around COVID protocols. So I put the link in the chat to our page, which is updated regularly around frequently asked questions, updated policies or protocols or information that needs to be shared. This is a page that you should check regularly. It's also a page that's updated regularly. So, you may have read something 2 weeks ago, but there are things that may read differently now. So that's a page that's worth staying on top of, especially because as things like COVID protocols or expectations shift, there could be some changes or modifications in those spaces. So, in terms of, being ill at camp, I mean, there are lots of different reasons why someone may feel unwell at camp. And, almost all of them are not connected to COVID. So there, people might end up in the health center because they just feel unwell. People might have, a tummy ache. People might have a sore finger or a sore ankle or, any number of things that can happen at home can also happen at camp. And just because someone, is hurt or doesn't feel well, doesn't mean somebody's going to be sent home from camp. We have doctors and nurses at camp that will manage our health center. And obviously our goal is to take care of people in camp as much as possible. If you want to understand specifically about COVID, in terms of if someone is positively identified to have a case of COVID in camp, there's a very good chance that in that type of situation, a camper will be sent home, but that's going to be at our doctor's discretion to determine. And also in consult with public health. But, this year, if somebody is sent home from camp, there's going to be a process to return to camp. So if there is actually a camper who is sent home because they have COVID, that's okay. It doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. We all get sick. That just is something that's very catchy. So we're going to send someone home if they have it in camp. And then there'll be a certain process to return to camp if that's what you want to do. So that's the short version of how that's going to work, but a lot of details are on our webpage as well. One of the reasons why we're putting a lot of care into the testing before camp and also the protocols during camp is because we want to minimize the number of times that could happen at camp. Last year we ran a very successful camp. Most of the campers we spoke to, I can really say probably every staff member I spoke to, really most of the campers that I spoke to said that last summer was the best summer they've ever had in their lives, and their best summer at camp. And that's a year where the COVID, sort of worry and risks were very, very, very high. And this year we understand a lot more about COVID. And I think we're better equipped to understand a lot about how we keep, not only COVID out of camp as much as possible, but also how to manage it in a smart and healthy way if it were to enter camp. So if it were to happen, we'll manage it together. I see some questions on the swim test. So the swim test, I'll just add a couple thoughts on that. The swim test is designed for camper safety, right? It's not designed to be about, did someone pass or fail? Like, that's not really what the goal is here. The goal is to assess whether or not someone's ability to swim in certain areas and activities is considered safe. So we have a basic test that's done to basically assess the basic skills that would be required in certain situations in some of our activities if the unexpected were to happen. And that test is a very straightforward test. It's the ability to swim a bit of a distance, back and forth inside our controlled swimming area under supervision from the lifeguards. There's some treading water as well. And, and it's the test, like I said, is all about just assessing, are you going to be able to do, these types of activities or these types of activities, or maybe these types of activities. And as the summer progresses, your swimming may get better. And that's okay. And you can be reassessed. And that happens a lot. And then campers will have the opportunity as the summer progresses to participate in more and more activities and to swim in deeper and deeper water. The swim test is not a judgment on anyone. It's just an assessment of where they are at that moment in time. And we know that everybody can get better every day. Okay.
There's a question.
Yeah, I see a question about 1 week campers having an opportunity to extend. So generally speaking, we do everything we can to facilitate camper extensions in camp, and it happens a lot. The one program where we, really are very cautious to not guarantee extensions, or at least we make people aware that there's a realistic possibility that an extension may not be possible, is the 1 week program. And so what, I'll come back to that in a second. So the flip side is, if you're a 2-weeker and you want to extend for a month, it's almost always certain that can happen. If you're 1 month and you want to extend for a period plus, almost certain that can happen. You're a period plus, you want to extend for the full summer, almost certain that can happen. And last year we had over 150 campers do that throughout the course of the summer. So lots of opportunity there. The 1 week program is a little bit different because the 1 week program has many cabins that are 1 week camper only cabins. And because of that, when the 1 week is over, the cabin will close. And those staff are already reallocated in many cases to other places, locations, and responsibilities. So the 1 week program has limited, there is some opportunity, but it's about, sort of getting a little bit lucky, both in terms of gender and age, and who else wants to extend. So it's a little bit of a puzzle, but it's not a guarantee, although we will do everything we can to facilitate an extension if we can. So I see bus questions are being answered in the chat. All right, so we have about 3 minutes left. Are there any unanswered questions? If you asked a question, we missed it, you can put it back in the chat so it stays at the bottom or top, so to speak, so we can see that we missed it. You can just type it back in. All right, so I don't see anything populating in there, so maybe we've answered. Oh, there we go. Will there be instructional swim this summer? The answer is we hope so. Last year we weren't able to because of cohort restrictions and public health regulations, and the way camp had to sort of be designed and divided. This year, we believe that we will be able to, and typically it happens up until campers. Instructional swim will happen in a let's call it a typical summer, up until campers are in grade 7. So from grades 1 through 7, typically there would be instructional swim. And then the older campers have sort of general and free swims and that sort of thing, and opportunities to self-select to take more advanced swim like bronze medallion or bronze cross. So we hope we will have it. I mean, we have the staff to do it. We have our instructors lined up. We have the swim staff. We have the affiliation with Life Saving Society and all of that. But we will still be meeting with public health and managing our protocols, right up until the first day of camp and through camp. Our hope and our goal is to be able to run instructional swim. So some questions are being answered in the chat. Typically, buses are done by age group and often gender, but not always. Sometimes it's also just spacing and what works. And it's, our hope is that through the bus ride, people will start very quickly to become comfortable with some new people because that's who they're going to be spending their whole summer with. What we find is that the bus ride is much more difficult for parents than for campers. So typically the goodbye is the hardest part for a camper. The bus ride is a very fun part for many campers, but a really hard time for parents because you're wondering what's going on with your children. We've been doing this a long, long time, and the campers, and I see a whole bunch of you out there. I saw a lot more before while the cameras were on, and I know you're there. Campers, you'll start talking and you'll start making new friends, and you'll start camp, on the bus ride. If you really don't know anybody, we recommend that you join our Camp Parent Connection through Facebook. Lots and lots of families make connections and make sure that their children have, sort of a buddy or friend or a familiar face or someone that they're connected with of their age group in advance of the bus ride. So that's something that you can absolutely do as well. This year we're not doing our big barbecue because of, still the uncertainty around COVID and COVID management. But that, historically was a time to sort of do a little meet and greet and that sort of thing, which we don't have this year. So we're really encouraging people to take advantage of social media and in particular our parent connection group, so you can meet some people that way and feel comfortable. And Adam's just posted that in the chat. Thank you. Okay. We look at these sessions as just an opportunity to connect. I think it's important that people know that, the dialogue is ongoing. If you think of a question tomorrow, it doesn't mean you missed your opportunity. You can email us anytime. The best general email to reach out to us is typically happycamper@campnbb.com, which gets, monitored and then redirected to the appropriate person. So feel free to utilize that email if you have questions that come up after the fact. There's one more question we'll take. We do want to be sensitive to everyone's time. There you go. happycamper@campnbb.com. That's the correct email. Bag tags, as they're called, or luggage tags, that sort of thing, and a little bit of a welcome package, information on, lice checks in advance of camp. That sort of like basic mailing is already being packaged and will likely go out shortly. All the information that you need has been posted for a long, long time already on our website. There's a parent manual that everybody, if you haven't been reading through it, we highly recommend you do. Also on our website, available electronically to review on the website, or also downloadable in PDF and printable format. If that's more your style, you can do that as well. But that really covers most of the information you'll need to know. The bag tag is more just about, just before you take your luggage to the luggage depot, making sure that you have the proper label on your duffel bag. All of our sessions this summer have planned buses taking campers from Toronto / Thornhill up to camp, and buses returning the campers from camp back to a drop-off in Toronto / Thornhill. I say Toronto / Thornhill because you really have to check the parent manuals. Some locations, the locations are not the same, right? So drop-off could be at one location, but pick up at another location. You might have a child in the 2-week program and has a different drop-off location than the 4-week program. So please, please pay attention to what's in the manual for pickups and drop-offs. Okay, so I think we will sort of leave it there. Let me just take a moment to thank Daniela. Daniela, thanks for sharing your insights and expertise as always. We're very grateful to have Daniela at camp and to be a resource to our families as well. So everyone get excited. Camp's going to be amazing. Feel the energy. Take a little lesson from Simon, not this Simon. You know, and if you're feeling nervous, maybe try to, you know, reframe that as excited and see how that makes you feel. And because I know that we are really, really excited to have all of these children up at camp and to have all of you families and parents as part of our camp family. And we're just excited on next steps of this journey together as a camp community. So thanks again to everybody, and please, please reach out anytime with questions that you may have. Email is often the best because we're still working somewhat on and off remotely, and both Adam and I are already back and forth and up to camp and doing that sort of thing. So email is a way that you can connect with us, and certainly if there's something urgent, we can get back to you sooner. All right, so thanks so much, everybody. Have a great night. See you up on Moose Lake.
Hi, everyone.
Bye.